Transformers, more than meets the eye. Oh, and the topic of today's video, namely both Commodore 64 games on Transformers.
RetroKork.
I don't really have to explain the history of Transformers, do I? They're robots disguised as everyday items like cars, except of course those that transform into things that are not everyday items. Originally coming from Japan as some kind of mechs, Hasbro decided to get rid of the mech pilots, put several toy lines together that only had the mech humanoid robot aspect as a common feature, made the car robots the Autobots, and the other toy lines the Decepticons, and called the entire line of toys Transformers. To promote the toys, the classic cartoon series, and of course the comics, were created. And that's basically what came before the two games I'll be talking about. The first game is called Transformers. No fancy subtitle or tagline, that is if you exclude the more than meets the eye, that is kind of part of the logo. The title screen gives us Soundwave, and well, I actually went and checked, and I would hazard a guess that the guy on the right is supposed to be Jazz. Oh, and as you can tell, this game was released by our friends at Ocean. Anyway, you get to control one of 5 Autobots: Jazz, Hound, Bumblebee, Mirage, and Optimus Prime himself. Your objective is to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Except right now it isn't really. You are trying to gather all 4 pieces of the Energon Cube and bring them to the giant picture frame. I mean Autobot Center. However, there are tons of Decepticons trying to destroy you, and they're all clones of 9 Decepticons like Megatron, Soundwave, Starscream, Laserbeak, or Ravage. I guess I could mention the other 4 Decepticons cloned, namely Buzzsaw, Skywarp, Frenzy, and Rumble, but really, I'm covering 2 games in one episode, and the episode's long enough already, so I don't need to waste your time. So you pick one of the 5 Autobots by going left or right, moving the crosshairs across the sprites and moving it over the sprite and pressing fire on the sprite of your chosen Autobot. If you want to swap out Autobots, bring the Autobot to one of the shielded places, have them face forward and then pull down. That way you can choose another Autobot. If you want to transform, however, you need to be anywhere but at a defense pod to make them face you, pull down, and then you press fire on the portrait. Theoretically, you could also pull up, but since in robot form Autobots can fly, and no, I have no idea who came up with that mode of transportation, but pulling up, you avoid unintended crashes. Because they are the bane of every player who plays this game. You see, this game takes place on a planet that is rather non-descriptive. It's possibly, but not definitely, Cybertron. But it has no Earth-like elements to it, so it's highly likely it is. And one of the features of the level are floating platforms that can accidentally be flown into. And there are stairs which you can accidentally fly into. With these accidents, I have killed more Autobots than Megatron could ever dream of. Yes, that many. It's that bad that I wouldn't be amazed if someone in the comment down below asked me if I'm a Decepticon. To which I obviously could reply, no, but I met one once. At Gamescom, to be honest. Anyway, it's okay, especially by the Ocean's standards that we've seen in the past. This game pretty much looks like they kind of just slapped the Transformers license on it in the last month of development. And the music? Well, not even the one who did it, Brett Gray, was really happy with it, so yeah. And with that, we head for Earth and the year 1986 to look at Transformers Battle to Save the Earth, or as the game's title screen calls it, Transformers the Computer Game, Volume 1, The Battle to Save the Earth, released by Activision. This game offers a spoken explanation for what is going on, and it has nice music to boot, featuring the original theme, music courtesy of the late Russell Lieblich. The plot of the game is Decepticons try stealing Earth energy and getting rid of the Autobots. Ultimately, this game is pretty much a strategy game. There are some first-person shooter elements in it, when you have a location on the view screen which you access by pressing V. And since there may not be much of a manual to be found these days, here are the main keys, as far as I could find them. The 8 Autobots to defend the Earth, and this time we get Rodimus Prime instead of Optimus, are represented by numbered blocks, which you get to access via the number keys. The map screen, to which the game starts you, is accessed by pressing M when you're not on it. With D, you deploy one of the Autobots to a location. T has them transform, and S shows you their status. The game is frustrating, to say the least. Decepticons show up in places unannounced, indicated by a flashing light, and if you don't have an Autobot already at said location, you might very well be screwed, because while you drive to that place, the Decepticons reap in the energy. That plus the fact that you need to micromanage the Autobot fights. Well, yes, technically you can set up an auto-fire mode by pressing B on the screen, allowing the cannon to fire at exactly 8 positions, but you still need to manage it down to T, which for the intended audience can be really frustrating. Frustrating enough that they go and play Hot Wheels instead. So yes, both Transformers games are, well, not as awesome as one would have hoped. One is a relatively generic shooting game, and the other one is a real-time strategy game, which requires too much micromanagement for the intended audience. In 2 weeks, Saturday morning cartoon month ends with Thundercats.